like to say Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakahak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, and salutations to you brothers out there that's doing this work in truth and sincerity. This is Matthew 13:1. The same day went Yahweh Shah out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great multitude were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. So like, bear with me. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, behold, a sower went forth to sow. So a worker went forth to work, right? And when he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. So if you, let's say you go outside in your backyard and you have some seed, some grass you want to lay, then you would throw the grass out in order for the seed to sprout and its roots to grow, right? So it says some fell upon the stony places where they had not much earth, and wherewith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away, right? Because for some seed that you throw, some seed, like, again, going into the backyard, some seed that you throw might end up on the concrete. Seed can't grow on the concrete because, one, there's no dirt for the root to grow. Two, there's, of course, if the root can't grow, then it can't absorb the nutrients and water that it needs, right? So it says, and some fell upon the thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground. So let's just say, using the backyard green, you go into your backyard and you put in that work, right? You make sure the dirt is nice and soft, right? And the way you could do that is through using shovels and pickaxes, and you breaking up the ground in order to soften the ground. So when you throw those seeds out, it'll be easy for the roots to penetrate through the ground, right? Right, and of course that ground need what? It needs nutrients and things like that. So you want to make sure it's good ground to throw seed on. So the parable is pretty much talking about how the seed, the sower that threw the seed, how some seeds landed on stony rocks, how some seeds landed on thorns, how some seeds didn't make it to good ground, right? So this is ultimately talking about those that will come into the truth. This is a parable for that. So it says, but others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who have ears to hear, let him hear. So you'll have men out there that's teaching this word on the highways and hedges that's going to bring in other men, right? Some men might come into this thing and fall out of this thing. Some men might come into this thing and possibly get kicked out of this thing. Some men might come into this thing and some men might come into this thing and they'll wholeheartedly stay in this thing, right? So ultimately, this is what this parable is going into, right? So ultimately, not every time you have a man that enter into the fold is going to stay in the fold. So let's keep going. So it says, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries, right? The mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So unto them it's not given, right? 2/3 isn't going to understand this thing. 2/3 isn't going to understand this thing. Even men that enter into this thing really aren't going to fully comprehend what they're into, right? So not every man is going to be truly a part of this thing, right? And those that are in the world won't understand this thing. They won't get it. That's in I think John the 5th chapter. For they cannot receive my word. So it says, for whosoever have to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever have not, from him shall be taken away even that he have. Therefore speak to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And that's going into what? Isaiah 69. So that right there is a quote from the book of Isaiah 69. So we know that the Lord, when speaking unto the disciples, we know that he's referring to who? The Israelites. So you will have Israelites enter this thing that's going to be grounded. Men enter into this thing that's going to be grounded. Then you will have those that enter in this thing and they're not going to be truly grounded, right? And then you have the rest of our people, right, which is the 2/3. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. So even, speaking these things unto them, they're not going to understand it, right? They're not going to get it. They're gonna more likely come up against what you're speaking. They're not going to agree with it. They're going to say that we're fools, or we're dumb, or we this, the name calling. Because again, the scripture says what? It says, let's get this back. Therefore speak I unto them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. So this is Isaiah the 6th chapter, the 9th verse, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I shall heal them. So again, that's going back into the book of Isaiah 6 and 9. Right? That's quoting out of the book of Isaiah 6 and 9. So we know this is talking about Israelites. So we know that when he quoted these things, he was talking about his own people. Right? So again, you're going to have seed that's going to fall to the wayside. You're going to have seed that's going to fall on stony ground. You're going to have seed that fall in thorns. And you're going to have seed that's going to be grounded in this thing. That's going to be pushing this thing, wholeheartedly. Then you're going to have the rest of our people that's going to come up against this thing, right? That's not going to understand the words that the Lord require us to speak unto our people, right? So Matthew 13:16, but blessed are your eyes. And there's more Israelites there's Israelites out there that's waking up, but that don't mean they're grounded in this thing. When I went out on the highways and hedges Friday after work, there was a guy that walked by and said, "Hey man," this was after I closed up camera. After I closed up camera, he said this. He's like, "Hey man, you one of them Hebrew Israelites, huh?" I said, "Con." He was like, "Hey man, hey, keep doing what you're doing." That was a spirit, man. That was a spirit, and I wish I had that on camera when he said that. Right when I closed up, man. 11 minutes after, because I had to get on a phone call. It was a very important phone call, so I had to stop the camera. And then I restarted the camera, and I did another 11 minutes out there. And after I did the 11 minutes plus, I closed up the camera. And right when I closed up the camera, he walked by, and he said, "Hey, man, you one of them Hebrew Israelites?" I was like, "Con." He's like, "Hey, man, keep pushing this word. Keep going." And I was like, "Con, man." I said, "Hey, man, we at the end of this thing." I said, "That's it, man. We're coming into the end of this thing. There's many things that's taking place, and you want to be paying attention to these things." And he was like, "That's right." He was like, "That's right, brother." And then he walked away. I wish I had it on camera. Right? So you got Israelites that know this word. You got Israelites that understand this thing in the sense of we being Israelites, because that's prophesied. The scriptures tell you, I think that's in Baruch, the 2nd chapter. He said what? He said, my people will remember themselves in the land of their captivity. So our people are waking up. Not a lot of them, but some of them are. They're waking up to knowing that they are Hebrew Israelites, knowing who they are as a true people of Yahweh Shah. But are they really grounded in this thing? Are they really for this thing? Right? So this parable makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense on what it's talking about. Right? Salakia. Bear with me for a second. Right? So it makes perfect sense. So it says, blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. So we understand this thing, man. We understand the prophecies. We understand the commandments. We understand the words that are spoken within these scriptures. We understand these things, man. So we see what's coming. We see what's taking place. Right? We see the prophecies. Right? We hear these things. We hear these things that are spoken unto us. Right? But it is not expected out of all our people. So it says, for verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. And that's the times that we are in now. Going into the arrows, being the nuclear missiles, going into the downfall of our enemies, being the other nations, right? Coming into destruction. These are the things that they wish they have seen. And guess what? According to reincarnation, they are seeing them. They might not have seen them in their time and in the bodies that they were in during that period of time, right? But being reincarnated, they are seeing these things, right? So it says, for verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men, right, have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear and have not heard them. It says, Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understand it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catches away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. So you have men that comes by the camp from time to time. You will have men that come by the camp from time to time, and these men will stand there and they will listen and ask questions. Then you will have one, right? You will have one that comes up and sway him away from what's being taught, right? Telling them not to listen, telling them these guys are liars, these guys are demons, these guys are that. So all he's doing is pulling this guy that's taking heed and listening, is pulling him away from it, right? So it says, but he that receives seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and none with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecutions ariseth because of the word, it says, by and by he is offended. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfaithful. But he that receives seed into the good is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some an hundredfold, some 60, and some 30. So there you go. Right? So yeah, there you go. So you're gonna have some that's grounded in this thing, some that's gonna lay root, some that's gonna lay root within good ground, and his root is gonna grow. And this is a man that's gonna be wholeheartedly in this thing. There ain't gonna be nothing that can sway him from this truth, right? But other than that, I want to say Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to those, to the elders and apostles that have taught us this thing and been in this thing, right? And endureth this thing. I want to say Shalom.